Hey everyone, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and he is,
Chris.
and Chris, he is. Today we're talking about some head coaches here. So we got some coaching changes in the NFL. Just a quick preview of this episode. That all of these coaches, none of these coaches have been head coaches before. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Great
So
tidbit.
what?
Great tidbit. I didn't even realize that till just now.
Yeah, so it makes it a little hard to kind of talk about these guys. Some of them are coming from they were defense coordinators, becoming head coaches and everything. So we're going to talk maybe more about their offense coordinators that they chose or whatever,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
it's fantasy football. We're not really concerned too much about defense. This isn't going to be a show for the casual fans, so whatever. But hey, if you're listening, great. Or you're watching us, great. We love to have you. As always, you can email us at amazingffb@gmail.com. You can just say hi, or you can be like, hey, I want to join your Discord server. Be like, okay, we'll send you an invite.
Yep, I
And we're
have
not
it
going to
linked
be
in the description.
Yep, and we're not gonna be streaming on Twitch at the moment, so you can just kind of whatever. But you
Not
can catch
till draft time,
Yeah,
April.
exactly. You can catch Chris on Twitch at Hardware Dynasty. So yeah, he
I'll
does
throw that in the
PC builds,
description
and
too.
you can watch him play some video games and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever he does over
I've
there
gotten
now.
2 victory royales. Josh, for the old folks who don't know what that is a win in Fortnite, first place. Obviously, I was on a team.
How much yeah, I was gonna say how much did like Fire Guide and
Oh, were
Wonder
you watching a
Tech
little bit?
and
Yeah. I
yeah,
will say
that's just for a minute.
I will say the
Who was the
first
other
game
one
I
on?
got stuck in the storm
There was
and
four of you,
died.
wasn't
What's that?
there? There was four of you, wasn't there?
Yes, total. Yes, I think that's what all you can do in squads. That's the most you can do is 4, team of 4.
Well, who's the fourth? I can't remember who the fourth was. Was it Jake?
ZC works.
Oh, okay, right on.
Jake was doing his
Oh,
own
that's
thing. Yeah.
that's right, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember.
And
Okay.
ZC was a little more closer to my level, both literally in the game and in terms of exposure to the game.
In
But
other words, you're both new and suck.
well, I think he's better at games overall. I think he plays some other games, but kind of new to Fortnite. So me having just benchmarked it. Anyway, it was fun. Got some kills. I actually did okay. But no, yeah, obviously the victory has a large part to do with the team I was part of, especially Fire
Yeah.
Guide, I believe. No offense, Wonder. I think Wonder Tech was pretty
I'm
good,
pretty sure Wonder Tech's pretty good too. I've watched him a couple of times. He looks
and
like
they play
he's
together a lot, so teamwork,
yeah.
etc. But no, I've had fun. I'm not becoming a Fortnite streamer, but yeah,
That's teamwork. I'm not gonna
teamwork.
say the middle word there.
There you
Um,
go. So
anyway, so we're talking about head coaches today, not Chris's uh whatever video game
no,
experience.
no, no. Just if you like that sort of
Blanking
thing, come watch me on
I'm
Hardware
blanking
Dynasty.
what the game's even called. Fortnite, of course. Yes. Anyways, so head coaches, let's get started here, Chris. Wait, I didn't ask. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. As usual, I enjoy my Sunday afternoons because it's kind of a reprieve.
Still morning.
I get
Still morning.
some still morning. Sorry.
You
Uh,
always say it's afternoon.
I don't know. Yeah, I get some family time. I get some fun podcast time. I get yeah. So I always have a good time Sunday mornings.
Excellent. All right, let's start off with our first head coaching change. These are in no particular order whatsoever. I just chose this guy first because I don't know.
Because his
Uh,
first name begins with an A.
nope. It was just the first guy that I chose to talk about. I put them all into a random number generator, and Arthur Smith came out first. Fun fact about Arthur Smith, Chris.
Mhm.
Did you know that his grandfather was the founder and CEO of FedEx?
Wow.
Comes
Founder
comes
and
from
CEO, grandfather, only one generation removed. Boy, he's got some money,
comes
huh?
comes from comes from FedEx money, or is it his dad? It's his dad or his granddad.
I'd have to know around what time the company started. I don't. It seems like it's been
50,
forever.
50s, 60s, 70s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, he comes from FedEx money. He doesn't
Hmm.
need this job. He doesn't need
No.
to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, but he is. So we're going to talk about him. Arthur Smith. He's spent time as an offensive line coach, a quarterback coach, tight end coach, and then 2 years ago became the Titans offensive coordinator. I
Mhm.
mean, that's pretty good right there. He's been good for Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Um, why don't you say a little bit about Arthur Smith here?
Arthur Smith, he got started as a graduate assistant in '06 at North Carolina.
Oh,
He then started with the Titans all the way back in 2011. 10
yep.
years coming up with an organization, tight ends, offensive line, mostly last 2 years, as you said, offensive coordinator. I think we can expect a focus on offensive line personnel improvements and blocking all around tight ends to improve the blocking in the run game, since that's kind of his
That's what the
specialty.
Falcons need. That's what the
Yeah.
Falcons need. Their offensive line,
Hmm.
according to PFF, was ranked 21st this
Yep.
past season. And I know they've sunk some draft picks into this offensive line too. It's just and hopefully Arthur Smith can actually make it better, you know? This offensive line gets better, they find a running back that's not old and busted,
Yep. That's
and,
exactly what my last note said. With a new
uh
quote new running back in this offense could be a value because I think they're going to be dismissed on the running back fantasy side of
I
things.
kinda wonder if they're looking for, more of an every down back, you know, a maybe not quite the every down bruiser that Derrick Henry is, but, you know, a guy that they're not constantly rotating backs in and out. I don't know if that's Arthur Smith's game right there. I think he wants to stick with one back as much as possible,
I would tend to
you know?
agree. I think he's smart enough to pull back on the reins when necessary in terms of like health, like because I think they managed Henry in Tennessee his
They
first
did.
couple years
He
very
did
well.
not I mean, he wasn't pulling a Christian McCaffrey
Nope, nope,
98% of the snaps.
not until the
Uh,
last year or two. Yeah, 2 years.
but even then, he was still coming off the field at times for, something McNichols. I'm forgetting his
Yep,
first name. My
Jeremy McNichols,
I think
Jeremy.
you just made that up, but that's
No,
okay.
I didn't. I used to manage him in Dynasty. Yeah, so I know his name.
Oh.
He has since left my
Anyways, that's
roster.
better than the name I was gonna come up with. I was gonna call him Wendy, so, you know,
Wendy McNichols.
"Hey, I'm Wendy McNichols.
How you doing?
How you doing today?"
So that's what I see in Arthur Smith. I'm not saying it's a Titans clone, but again, coached the Titan tight ends. He coached the offensive line. So, and we know how the Titans win football games. So expect a run based attack, play some defense. You know,
Yep.
that's the gist of it I've got for Arthur
I
Smith
think that maybe they could pivot a little bit more to more of a passing focused offense, especially if they don't get a running back that
due to
they
their personnel. Yeah,
Yep,
because they obviously have
yep, because and I
arguably
mean,
the best receivers.
yeah, I mean, you got Julio and oh boy, I'm bad with names today.
Calvin Ridley.
Um, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, you get those 2, which, man, you put those 2 together, and then you put all the Titans receivers together, and those things do not equal each other whatsoever.
Yeah,
AJ Brown's great, but he's not Julio Jones. AJ Brown's great, he's not Calvin Ridley. I think they're both better than AJ Brown.
I would say I'd probably
Um,
see it manifests itself in play action. Matt
mhm,
Ryan's great at play action. Julio is great at play action. You give him another half or a second or a whole second to finish a route, if you will,
yep,
to get into his route and get out of it. Yeah, so there could be value here. I'm not saying they're taking the league by storm. Heck, there might be a lot of growing pains. We don't know who the running back is going to be. There is some talent on the O line, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But hopefully, we see some value maybe at the running back position in terms of nobody cares about him because nobody knows about Arthur Smith.
yeah, alright, cool. He did I will say one thing that he did choose, this Dave Ragone or
Okay.
Ragone? To be his offensive coordinator, who was the Bears offensive coach or their quarterback coach the last 5 seasons. That's not saying a whole lot right there.
No, and I wonder if there's a tie-in. There's a lot of
They
helping
oh,
your
yeah,
buddy out in coaching and
they coached
nepotism too.
they were together at some point in their
Yeah,
careers, and
they
that's
usually
why
are,
they chose him.
and that's the
I mean,
big theme. Yeah.
which is weird because you're not normally choosing just a random guy from somewhere else. You're like, "Hey, I know this guy. This is my buddy from back in the day, you know, come on and join me."
Although I
You
think
know?
McVay, when he got to the Rams a few years ago, he picked out Wade Phillips, whom he'd never. I mean, obviously McVay had never been head coach, so he didn't have anybody under him. But
Right.
I don't think there are any ties there. It was just like I want him to run my defense, and it worked very well.
Because Wade Phillips is good at running
He
defenses.
is. He is
Not
one,
running the Dallas Cowboys, though.
or any team for that matter.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to number 2 here. Number
Hmm.
2 on our list and number 1 in Chris's heart would be the Detroit Lions' new head coach, Dan Campbell. All right. Well, here's Dan Campbell. He looks like he
Guns
kind of looks
Mahoney.
like Bill Cowher.
He does kind of look like Bill Cowher. The goatee does it.
Yeah.
Although Cowher might be
Yeah. The
goateeless
nose,
lately. Yeah.
the nose a little bit too. Yeah.
Nice strong
Anyway,
jawline.
so Dan Campbell, back when he was a player in the NFL at some point, and
Hmm.
he was a tight end for the Lions for the longest time.
Hmm.
And after that, he went into coaching. He got his start as the Dolphins tight end. Oh my god! Wow, I suck at talking today. Um,
Bumblebee.
he, he he got his start as the Dolphins tight end coach, and then he became their interim head coach after they fired Joe Philbin back in 2016, I believe
Sounds
it
right.
was 2015. My bad. He won 5 games as their interim head
Nice little
coach. It was
streak. Yep.
5 out of 12, so not great. But hey,
Oh.
when you're dealing with that Dolphins team, that's saying something right there. He moved on to become the Saints assistant head coach
Hmm.
probably pretty much ever since then, really.
Hmm.
You know, what else you got on Mr. Dan Campbell here?
Born in Clifton, Texas, the same year as me. Played for
Ooh,
the
Clifton.
Cowboys, one of the first
So
free
he's
agents.
older. So he's old as dirt. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
exactly. Dirt, check. Played for the Cowboys, one of the first free agents that Bill Parcells signed. So think of that mold of player, if you will. Played a lot of two tight end sets with Witten the 1 year that he stayed healthy. I think he was hurt the entire first year. I think it was a 2 year stint. Anyway, so a lot of two tight end sets with Witten because obviously Witten was in his prime at that point. I believe his style is very Parcell esque, coaching style, that is. Also, remember, Campbell not only coached but also played in New Orleans, where, of course, Sean Payton has carved out a legacy, and Payton is a
Mhm.
Parcells disciple. Similar to Atlanta and Arthur Smith, I expect two tight end sets and an emphasis on the run. Remember, the Lions had to sign off on bringing Goff in, a guy they have to know needs a strong run game to be effective whatsoever. This is promising news
Yeah.
for DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson could be a real value. Goff has shown the propensity to use the tight end position and even in two tight end sets in LA, Higbee and Everett. And obviously, Swift has shown us some promising things. And if he were to be given the lead role and remain mostly healthy, I think we could absolutely see a top 5 ceiling for Swift. Let's just see if they can get
Wow.
a decent
Okay.
outside if they can get a
Uh,
decent outside receiver to help defenses stay honest.
they're gonna need a couple of receivers because they have no receivers right now.
And that's why
They
I
have
mentioned it ceiling in tune with wide receiver help because I think that's the ceiling, the absolute ceiling. I'm not trying to say that's where he's going to end up, but we're in the business of upside. So I like the guy. I like the running back
yeah.
Swift.
I don't know how well how well his this coach like is he gonna bring Sean Payton style of offense to Detroit? How well is that gonna work with Jared Goff? Like Drew Brees is a definite Hall of Famer. Jared Goff is definitely not Drew Brees.
Well,
I
think
just
Drew Brees last 2 or 3 years. Okay, 2 years. Think Drew Brees last 2 years. Mm, you know, and people tend to
but
kind of remember the Saints of I don't know what years, but they
the Saints
tended
of
to throw.
yore.
Yeah, they right. Well, still Sean Payton Saints. They are a running powerhouse and have been for several years now. So I
Yeah,
think it's more of a
that's true.
testament to how he runs his offense and not placates, helps
But
a aging quarterback like Breeze.
right. And we'll find out here how much of this has been Sean Payton, how much of this has been, which I'm guessing a lot of it, but how much has Dan Campbell like taken away from Sean Payton as well? It's going to be interesting, and I know. I just wonder how long of a leash Dan Campbell's going to have because the Lions have come out and said that they have like a 2-year plan, and their plan is to be playoff relevant in 2 years. So like
Mm.
2023,
So
2022, 2023.
fast turnaround.
Well, they've kind of tearing it down and trying to rebuild as quick as they can.
Hmm.
So, in other words, they're taking the Dolphins' stance of trust the process sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Hey, it seems to be working for Miami.
Yeah,
But
we'll see about
we're talking the Lions here. Let's. I think we can all agree they've been historically bad, and we haven't seen
that. Yeah.
anything drastically change to make us think about that different. But in fantasy terms, I like the pieces. I think, I hope the running game can get something out of obviously the running game and the other pieces like a Hawkinson play action. Goff is not going to be running around like uh I just blanked Taysom Hill in New Orleans, so it's not that type of New Orleans offense. But you know, Kamara. Think of I'm not going to say Kamara light, although I am the one who said top 5 ceiling for Swift. But just think of that type of player. That type of consistent carries and targets out of the backfield, and maybe even a second guy like they have Murray in New Orleans. So I
Yep.
just hope there's some value in the run game for fantasy if they can get some help at
I,
wide receiver.
I think they will be. Their offensive line wasn't atrocious last year. I don't think they're going to be the
Ragnow's in the
same.
middle. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Let's see if we can get Bitcoin to hit $58,000 by the end of this show. Oh, boy.
I'm just kidding. I don't have any
It's
investments.
ridiculous. I have 0 Bitcoin, but it is ridiculous. We were talking about this before the show started, and it is just unprecedented how this is just exploding. Thanks,
We're,
Elon Musk.
we're
He
gonna,
definitely did something.
we should start streaming the pre-show. Get some valuable, usable content there. Y'all should have heard us, man. It had nothing to do with football either. So
No, it didn't.
it was
Well,
weird.
a little. Anyways, let's move on to number 3 on our list. Number 3 on our list, and number 1 in Ohio State fans' hearts, Urban Meyer, known cheater. Urban Meyer. No, he's never been actually caught cheating. So I'm not trying to besmirch his coaching excellence by any stretch of the imagination. I gotta say here, I did not know that Urban Meyer was the head coach of Bowling Green at one point. Like
Yeah,
that's how he
humble
got his.
beginnings, huh?
Yeah, I remember him being in Utah because when he was at Utah with Alex Smith,
Yep, that's when he
remember
became
that?
well known. Yes, I do.
Yeah, and they won that bowl game. Forgive me, I don't remember what bowl game it was, but yeah, man, he's a good coach. He went on to Florida from there, and then Ohio State. He did retire. He did have a year off in between Florida and Ohio State, which
Only
that's
one?
what I think so.
Okay.
That's what really raised my eyebrow there of like, what's going on with this dude that he's just casually taking time off in between head coaching stints that, yeah. I don't okay, like I said, I like Urban Meyer is a really excellent coach. He's one of the greatest college coaches in the last what, 30 years
Are
probably?
you talking about like recruiting stuff? Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't even care. To be
I
honest,
yeah, I think he was bending some rules.
their talent acquisition man is what they are. That's what college head coaches are. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
system. Yeah, there's a offense and defense, X's and O's, but
And
really,
that's
it's
and
all about recruiting.
well, yeah, and that's what they're a lot of detractors have been saying about Urban Meyer finally making the jump to the NFL is that it's not like college where you can go out and get and woo the best.
And buy a player. I mean,
Yeah,
woo.
yeah, woo the best players to come to play for you. Like, yeah, you can to some extent with free agency, but you also have to develop talent too. And
Hmm.
from the draft and everything, you can't just pay your way into, well, I mean, you sort of can, but it's really hard to pay your way into a championship in the NFL. You know, you have to have young, good players. And I think one of the reasons why he's going to Jacksonville is because they're probably going to get Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence looks like he could really fit into Urban Meyer's scheme. He usually runs one running back as with like Zeke and fish sticks. What's the newest one to come out of there?
The newest. Oh gosh, Ohio State. Little
I
guy.
don't
It's escaping me.
I don't remember it, but like they usually run one.
Alaire was LSU. I can't remember. Go ahead.
Anyways, but Urban Meyer, I love this. He refers to his offensive scheme as power football with a spread set. So yeah,
Okay.
like there's a lot. They're like they spread the wide receivers out, and they usually focus with one running back. That seems to be James Robinson, man. He was one of the highest snap total percentages as far as running backs last season. Yeah,
Mhm.
he kind of broke down a little bit towards the end. That could have just been hitting that rookie wall. So maybe he's a little bit better this year. I mean, I think this is a good for James Robinson. Yeah, I know you love James Robinson. I know, and I don't think he's a world breaker, but I mean, yeah, he was what, a top 10 running back before he got injured, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and Trevor Lawrence comes in, assuming that they do select Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why they wouldn't, but Trevor Lawrence comes in. He's got DJ Chark. He's got Laviska Shenault, which is kind
Yep.
of a do everything, wide receiver. Not much as far as tight ends, but I
You
don't
could
remember
expect to
there
see
being.
plenty of sweeps from him, both of them.
Yeah, I don't remember there being the tight end being a heavy focus at Ohio State. So that doesn't really matter much. There's work to do on the offensive line and
Mhm.
everything, but this can be good. This could be really good for this Jags team. I don't know how fantasy relevant they will be this season. We'll see though, man. We'll see. I like the upside of Trevor Lawrence going in with Chark and Chenault and James Robinson.
Yeah.
What else you got to say about this?
In addition to none of them being head coaches before, as a kind of a theme for the show, a theme for these 7 guys, another one I kind of picked up on was a culture change. I mean, I'm not saying they're all raw guys, but they're definitely players, coaches, guys with
Not all
tenure.
of them, not all of them, but a lot, but most of them are
Okay,
on our list.
okay. Or it's a more of a schematic culture change, if you will, which I guess would be less culture, wouldn't it? It would be more schematic. But culture change is a big thing with Urban here. I think at this point in his career, you kind of touched on it, whether it was staying away from the limelight because of accusations or health. Remember, he stepped down for health.
He was
Was it
he was he was
Ohio
he was
State?
having heart issues in his last year
I
at,
want to
at
say it almost
Ohio
happened
State.
twice, or was it just his last time at Ohio State? So there's
It might have been
that.
Florida as well. I
Hmm.
know he's been having some heart problems,
Yeah.
so
So he's come out and said he will not be calling
which weirdly
plays.
coincide with allegations. So
Right. Well, I think it's that too, but I'm also saying health. He has already come out and said he will not be calling plays. So I think he's just more of a personality manager,
interesting.
culture change type of hire at this point in his career. He's gonna, you know, come in and put a winning culture
Right.
is what they're hoping.
I,
He also hired where am I here?
I
Daryl
was
Bevel.
just gonna say this. Yep,
Yeah,
Derek.
Daryl Bevel. So I honestly kind of shifted my focus for fantasy and scheme towards Daryl Bevel because again, Urban's not going to be calling plays, and he's more of a manager at this point in his career, in my opinion, which is very important for a team like
So
Jacksonville.
what do you say about Daryl Bevel then? How do you what do you think he's going to do? Because there was this big thing about Detroit bringing him in last season or 2 years ago, I believe it was
Mm-hmm.
actually, to run the ball more. But Daryl Bevel was actually the Seahawks offensive coordinator and passing coordinator when they won the Super Bowl twice.
Well,
So,
Bevel's known
or
for running ball, and that's what he did in Seattle. So that's what
But
you're going to see.
they ran the ball in Seattle, right? But he was the passing coordinator, not the run coordinator in Seattle.
True, true. But
So
I think he's one of the reasons why they pulled the reins back on Russell Wilson. Him and
I don't understand that.
Carroll. I mean, I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't think it's great for fantasy, is what I'm getting at. Daryl Bevel is good for real NFL, but he's going to take passing opportunities away. I worry by his run.
But that's gonna be good for James Robinson then.
That could be good for
But
James Robinson, which is kind of where I go. And I don't think James Robinson is going anywhere, but unless they draft a young running back early. So let's assume Robinson is going to retain his role because he showed us something last year. So for that reason, I like it, but I like a more potent passing attack to take some pressure off the running game and make the more offense work as a cohesive unit when I'm picking my fantasy assets. But so I worry about James Robinson being just a guy. Um, and Daryl Bevel running a bit to the ground, quite honestly, is kind of where I'm at.
yeah,
But
but I mean, if he is just a guy, he was a pretty productive guy last
sure
season
was. He sure was.
with subpar quarterbacking too.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and I mean, I don't see Trevor Lawrence being on the level or worse
That's where my
than
hope
Gardner
lies.
Minshew
Is if.
what was it, Nick Foles, you know?
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all
That's
kind
where
of
my hope lies. Is the young quarterback can raise the play of Robinson and others. But we've seen unheralded running backs be flashes and pans before. That's all I'm saying. So I have some trepidation there. But you would hope Urban and his well, I guess Daryl Bevel's scheme can open up the offensive a little bit because Seattle did have some success and they did run the ball very well. So Robinson can be in for a great year, but I'm a little trepidatious about the other pieces and Daryl Bevel's play calling.
Okie dokie. Let's move on to number 4 on our list, which is Brandon Staley. He was fresh off of being the Rams defensive coordinator. I mean, he was before that, he spent years as being a linebacker coach for the Bears and then the Broncos. He chose Joe Lombardi, which is really nice, to be his offensive coordinator. Fun fact: Joe Lombardi, grandson of Vince Lombardi.
Lombardi, yep.
Yep, and Brandon Staley looks like a serial killer. Not so much in this picture that we have posted here, but man, I was looking at some pictures, and him with a beard just almost accentuates the serial killer.
Oh boy, I've got to pull this up eventually.
Oh my god, I was like, man, this guy is trolling for victims, and yeah, doing serial killer things to them.
Mhm.
He's probably got a skin suit somewhere in his basement. Yeah. Anyways, Brandon Staley is what we're talking about, not his off-field antics.
Not his off-field,
Um,
his completely falsified off-field antics. Hypothetical off-field antics, yeah, something like that.
so let's move on to Joe Lombardi because Brandon Staley is a defensive dude. And I thought this was kind of a weird hire for the Chargers. First off, because yeah, they need help with their defense, but they have some good players on
Hmm.
defense, the
Hmm.
defensive side of the ball. But I really thought that they were going to bring in like a Eric Bieniemy or something, like a really offensive focused guy to help. And I always want to call him Joe Burrow.
Did I look up
Uh
the wrong guy? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I to help Justin Herbert, kind of develop him a little bit more and everything. Yeah, Justin Herbert was great last season in his rookie year, but I thought maybe they would bring in an offensive dude to really like smooth out the rough edges and really mold this dude into a Hall of Fame level quarterback. I mean, yeah, he played that way last year, but let's see it like move forward that way too.
What?
Um, so so Joe Lombardi was the New Orleans quarterback coach two different times for a total of 9 years. He was the Lions offensive coordinator in
Oh,
2014 and 15, which I believe coincides with Matt Stafford and some of his okay years, not his great years. Um, another New Orleans guy coming from
hmm,
underneath Sean Payton, you know.
hmm.
You said Sean Payton comes from the Bill Parcells tree, but I think we're starting to.
See him
I mean,
develop
he
his
might
own
be.
roots.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that to keep with the tree references.
yeah. I mean, the apple didn't fall too far from the Bill Parcells tree, but it's grown into its own thing, and
Hmm.
I'm done with tree. I'm done with a tree analogy.
Let's leave
um,
this one alone.
uh, nice. Like I hate you for saying that, but I also love it at the
Yep,
same time.
yep. I'm on my game this morning.
So yeah, I mean, I think we could look for a lot of no huddle and spread formations in LA this coming season. That's kind of what Sean Payton has done, and we can look at Joe Lombardi to kind of do the same thing. He's got it. I don't know. He's definitely got his work cut out for him with
Mm,
the Chargers getting ranked as dead last according to Pro Football Focus as far as their offensive line goes. So some of that was injury. Some of that was just really bad decision making as far as personnel that they acquired.
sure.
Um, I don't understand the past off season they traded away. I don't remember who it was. They traded a better offensive lineman away to the Carolina Panthers for a worse offensive lineman. It made zero sense. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Was it Trey Turner? Right? No, no. Anyway, a different guy. Yeah. Interestingly enough, during my research, apparently I pulled up the wrong offensive coordinator. I assume it pulled up the former Chargers offensive coordinator, known as Shane Steichen. But anyway, as you basically echoed what I would have said about Mr. Lombardi coming from New Orleans. I did have a little bit on Staley in terms of his coached some pretty dang good defenses. You mentioned these linebackers, so these are some pretty like top of the league linebackers he's coached, if memory
Yeah.
serves. Chicago 2017 to 18, Denver 2019,
Hmm.
and of course Rams last year. Uh, First in points and total yards allowed. Historical defensive year. That's what got him the job. He's pretty young at 38. Yeah, and like I said, or like you said, oh wait, I've got more here. How about that?
This actually might not be like. So you got
Hmm.
Brandon Staley coming in to be head coach. He's a defensive mind, and then you got Joe Lombardi, who is he was a quarterback coach, so he could really work with.
Oh, it's going to be great
Uh,
for Herbie. Yeah.
I think that this is like I don't know. Like, I don't know what went on in the interview room. If they sat down with Staley here and was just like, "So you're a defensive side, you're a defensive minded guy. What are you going to do about the offense and our
Our
quarterback,
young
our rookie of the
quarterback.
year quarterback?"
Mm-hmm.
He did get rookie of the year, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What are you going to do with him? He's like, "Well, I plan on bringing in my buddy Joe Lombardi from the Saints. He's the quarterback coach there, and I don't know why Brandon Staley sounds like a radio announcer, but." Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring in my buddy Joe Lombardi from the Saints and the New Orleans Saints, and I'm gonna have him work with your young rookie of the year quarterback, Justin Herbert." And they're like, hired, you
Hired.
know?
Yep. I think the Chargers understand the talent they have on defense and what this guy can do with it. Much less, giving the
They just
offer.
gotta stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's
it's
what I
been
go on
it's
to.
been the same song and dance with the Chargers offensive line and all their defensive personnel for
Yeah,
like the last 2, 3 years. It's
yeah.
just
I remember.
health.
Yeah, I remember Derwin
Well,
James got hurt again last year.
that and the aforementioned bad personnel decisions that they made on their offensive line.
Yep. I think the
Yeah,
combination of the
they've been trying to do patchwork of that O-line, and I think they kinda
yeah,
maybe just need to burn it
that's
down and
exactly what my notes
rebuild.
basically boil down to. Is I just say that if they can get a healthy Derwin James, the Bosa kid was hurt again a bit this year. If they could just get a little more healthy snaps from their defense, this young coach I think will be great for the fantasy offense because they'll give him more opportunities, give the young quarterback a chance to play laid back because he's probably ahead by a score or two.
Mhm.
So I like it. And letting Lombardi kind of have the reins. He's been working his way towards a head coaching position, so we'll see in a couple years what he does here with the Chargers, and
Yeah,
he'll probably be
if he does well
yeah,
here, he's gonna be
he'll
a
have
head
his own
coach
team.
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then I just going to say, I
Potentially the
oh
Vikings. I
we
can
did it out of
see the
order,
Vikings
so
moving.
I make a correlation with Miles Sanders because we have Philly as a new coaching uh, coming up here in a little bit. So I really like Eckler in this offense. I mean, we're talking about Lombardi, the coach of Alvin Kamara, and we all firmly believe in Eckler's talent. I'm not saying Eckler is Kamara because
He
he's a
wasn't
smaller
necessarily the
guy.
coach he was involved with the offense of Kamara. He wasn't the coach, he was the quarterback coach, not running back coach, dude.
Oh, yeah, but I think Sean
I
Payton
don't
is
know
your de
all the
facto kind of play caller, if
yeah.
you will, offensive coordinator. But yeah, I think he grooms these guys. I think Lombardi has his hands on a lot of the offense. But yeah, that's fair. He was more
Okay,
passing guy.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm picturing Joe Lombardi sitting down in the chair and Sean Payton behind him combing him and like you know how those chimpanzees go through and like pick stuff
The
off of
ticks
like
and
their
stuff.
mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they eat them. Like I'm picturing Sean Payton doing this. Like he's just grooming them, picking off the
Grooming him.
ticks and eating them.
Yes, one day this will all be your. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I just think Eckler could be in for. I mean, I hate to kind of mention this again in terms of upside, but I think Eckler could easily be a top 5 guy if Lombardi can
I,
do what he
Eckler
does, and
maybe
this defense can give more opportunity to the offense.
you said that about Swift, and I was like, yeah, okay, man, like that.
Well, I said with Eckler top 5 guy easily if healthy. With
Okay,
Swift, I said top 5 ceiling, absolute ceiling.
yeah. All
So
right, let's move on
yeah,
to
they're
number
different.
5 on our list. Number 5 on our list is I think it's pronounced Robert Saleh.
I'm sticking with
Robert
it. Yeah.
Saleh. This Vin Diesel lookalike here, came from the 49ers, their defensive coach. He chose the 49ers passing coordinator, forgive me, Mike LaFleur. I believe he's brother of Matt LaFleur, and he apparently players really like playing for him. I know that this was one of the guys that was on Deshaun Watson's list as he wanted to be head coach for the Texans, and the Texans said, no, we're gonna go with a different guy who we're about to talk about here in a little bit."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so Robert Slate being another defensive guy, I wanted to kind of look at what more like what LaFleur is going to bring to the table here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of wondering if he's going to bring more of that kind of Kyle shenanigans. I'm sorry, Shanahan. I didn't misspeak there. I meant to say that. A style of offense.
Shanahanigans.
Yeah, like that more of a kind of West Coast style to the Jets, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big question that Soleil and the Jets front office have to really they're probably talking about at this moment, literally at this moment, and when you're listening or watching this episode is what are we going to do with Sam Darnold? I think they're going to move on.
I think so
Personally,
too. I think so too.
I was
I
kind of
think
hoping that
I
to
think I
be
read
honest,
something that he was on the block. Something about he might be available for a second, is what I thought I read.
that and I was kind of hoping that the Colts were going to get him and not Wentz, because I
I'm,
was like,
I
well,
think you could
if you
save a
can
little
get
bit of money and get a similarly talented guy. Is kind of where I'm at with that too. Absolutely.
and it come like way cheaper too,
I actually like Darnold a little better. I understand he's been with a really bad
not
team.
well.
Yeah, he's played awful, but
He's
he's
been
been
a
with a
really bad coach and a really bad team.
yeah. So I'm not giving him a free pass. It's worth mentioning. So I agree with you. If it were my team, I would have pursued Darnold instead of Wentz.
I was trying to look this up to see what kind of offensive line scheme the Jets were running underneath Gase, and I couldn't really find it. So I was just kind of wondering, is LaFleur going to bring that kind of the zone blocking Kyle
Mm-hmm.
Shanahan
Mm-hmm.
style offensive line? If so, it like usually when you transition from just like a straight whatever line, offensive line, sorry, the term is escaping me, to a zone, there's usually a rough transition.
Power blocking, power run.
Yes, thank you. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like usually when they make that shift, it's a rough
Mhm.
transition
Most
for
m-
like the first half of the season. But
right.
once you get your personnel, the right personnel in there to run that zone blocking scheme and everything, it can work really, really, really well.
Yep.
You just have to have your right personnel in there and you have to implement it right.
And a lot of it comes down to offensive line personnel. You have a different type, a different prototype
Mhm.
for a zone blocking versus a power run scheme. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like you would think, physically speaking. Power run scheme, big bulking, 6'5", 6'7" tackles, big guards also. And yeah, power scheme, whereas you want a more athletic guy for a zone blocking scheme. I will say that zone blocking is in almost every single run game in the NFL nowadays. Like there is a zone aspect to
Right.
every scheme, and I don't
Or
mean
well,
like
yeah.
more heavily than it used to be. The Shanahan tree has had something to do with it for sure. Kubiak is a great example. He's he's
Mhm.
he's very well known because he's a
The
Shanahan
freshly
disciple.
retired Gary Kubiak.
Right, right. And he turned around Minnesota's run game just last couple years.
Yep.
Obviously, Cook had a lot to do with that too, but they picked Cook because he fits that scheme very well. So you're right. Robert Saleh is a defensive guy. Let's see, defensive quality control coach 2011 to 2013 for the Legion of Boom, Super Bowl champs 2013 in
Oh,
Seattle. So he's a really good defensive dude. Coach Paul Posluszny in Jacksonville for a few years as linebacker coach, another great linebacker. But of course, his most recent claim to fame is defensive coordinator for the Niners. We talked about Darnold in fantasy terms with a defensive-minded head coach. Question marks at all the skill positions, and Mike
yeah.
LaFleur as offensive coordinator.
Except
This
for
will be a run-heavy attack for Green Green for sure.
maybe, I mean, they have some okay wide receivers in Jamison Crowder, and we didn't
Mm-hmm.
really get to see what Mims can do because he was kind of banged up all season. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm so glad Adam Gase is gone, and Adam
Right.
Gase is not coaching in the NFL at the moment either. I just, I'm sick of this guy who's just he's riding the coattails of Peyton Manning and Peyton Manning making him look good
We're
because
riding the coattails
he's been
of a historic defense, if you ask me.
well, that too, but I mean, he was there for Peyton Manning's what was then record-breaking season, you
Sure.
know?
Sure. Oh, good point. On the
Um,
offensive side, the
yeah,
reason he
yeah,
got jobs. Yeah.
but I mean, he's just riding on the coattails of Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning made him look good,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm tired of this joker, like, going out and being like, "Yeah, remember when I, won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos and blah, blah," and then he's just an embarrassment as a head coach, an
Yeah.
absolute embarrassment.
Embarrassment.
Just I'm glad that no NFL team has made him a head coach again,
Mm-hmm.
and if the Colts ever made him my head coach, I would quit the team.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. I do not like Adam Gase. I don't think he's good. Maybe he just needs to stick to his role as offensive coordinator. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Maybe
I
that's
don't
what it
know.
is. Maybe he's a horrible manager of personalities. Maybe he's a
I mean,
horrible
Charlie Weiss came out and said he's
uh,
like, he's just like he came out and
players
said he's like,
coach guy.
I wasn't a very good head coach, but he's like, I know that I'm a great offense coordinator. I'll just be an offense. I'll probably never be a head coach again. And he was fine with it. Like he's just like, I'm good at offense.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I just need to. I know
I'm
my
good at
role.
I'm good at focusing on offense as opposed to
Yeah,
focusing on the management of the whole team, which
exactly.
coaches approach it differently. But yeah, I echo more same stuff. Basically, just it'll be run heavy. Remember, these guys just got finished coaching together in San Francisco, where they managed to have a very very good run attack, albeit with a subpar quarterback. So these guys know all about subpar quarterbacking. They probably get rid of Darnold, get what they can for him, so they can use the picks on defense and offensive line, and they run the snot out of the ball and pick whoever to manage it at quarterback. Maybe
They're gonna
maybe see
they're gonna
Fitzpatrick come back to New York. Just get a
maybe
veteran in there
they're
for a
gonna have
year
to
or
get,
two.
they're gonna have to get a running back though, and I've seen some mock drafts of them getting Travis Etienne from Clemson, which would be great. Like that's a
I,
guy that can do everything.
I bet they go more bargain basement. I mean, look at San Francisco. What would they pay
Yeah,
up for Jarek McKinnon for $6 million a couple years ago? Other than that, man, what's his name? Mostert is what, an undrafted dude. Again, a big thing about Shanahan's zone blocking scheme, going back to the Denver days when his dad was coaching Denver. Orlandis Gary,
anyone can be productive.
Mike Anderson, yeah, dude. So I don't think they have
Peyton
to pay
Hillis,
up for a running back.
the fullback at the time, Peyton
Thank you.
Hillis.
Perfect example. Perfect.
Mhm.
Had a amazing year and got on the cover of Madden. So that's what I'm saying. Is
No, he had a good year with the
I think
a
they go
great year.
bargain basement and they put the
Anyways,
premium
let's
picks on
for sure.
defense.
Let's move on to number 6 here. Number
Mm,
6 is I'm sad to see him go. It's Nick Sirianni. He was formerly the Colts offensive coordinator. This guy has an impressive list of I don't want to say mentors, but guys that he's definitely worked underneath.
mm-hmm.
I mean, look at this list here. Todd Haley, Charlie Weiss, Brian Dable. I think I'm saying that right. Ken Wisenhunt, Anthony Lynn, all great off or good to great offensive minds. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
can say what you want about Ken Wisenhunt and Anthony Lynn's disaster last season, and I think Todd Haley at one point was considered a knucklehead. But I mean, at points in their careers, they've all been
They're heavily
considered
sought
very good.
after. Yep.
Yeah. So, and also like he likes to hang writing utensils from his visor.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing,
I
folks.
like, yeah, it's a real thing. He likes to hang his pens and markers and whatever from his visor.
And I
It's
feel like you can only do it with a
a
visor.
lot.
You can't do that with a ball cap unless you're
You
hanging
could
it
never
upside
do that,
down.
or you're clipping it onto the bill or something. But I've
Yeah.
seen people do that actually. But yeah, why don't you just tuck it in there? Nope, just clip it on there. All right, whatever. Yeah, he's coming. Like I said, he's coming off being the Colts offensive coordinator, so he's definitely coming from the Frank Reich, school of thought, which is good. I mean, Frank Reich's been good for the Colts. I really like it as a Colts fan. I really like him as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just and, like it's kind of thinking that he's going to bring that kind of 12 personnel scheme to or continue it, I guess, in Philly.
Right.
I assuming that they're going to stick with Jalen Hurts, or if they want to draft another quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna bring in a veteran backup to kind of do a little tutelage with Hurts.
Okay.
Um,
Not to compete, mostly to be a
not
backup and to be
necessarily
in the quarterback room.
maybe a guy that can compete, but they want to maybe focus more on Hurts. I think.
So you think they're going to move forward with him?
I think they're hoping they caught lightning in a bottle with
Yeah,
Hurts.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if I agree with them, but I think you're right in that they're going to move forward with him the next couple of years, hoping they
oh,
got
you don't
lightning.
think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have my
Um,
doubts, but we can get to that in a second.
I certainly have my doubts with Jalen Hurts, but there's also a possibility that he could be, motioning wide or using running backs as wide receivers too. Like he's just kind of a guy who's just trying to create mismatches all over the field,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
get guys into open space and give them room to make plays.
Hmm.
It's going to be a little rough with the Eagles. Their offensive personnel is odd.
Hmm.
Like they have Hurts. Their offensive line was very banged up this past season. Um, Miles Sanders is a guy that can do it all. They also got Boston Scott, a quick little
Yep.
guy that can he's just a smaller Miles Sanders for the most part. Um, I don't know. I don't think Jalen Reagor is the bee's knees, but he's certainly there. Who knows? Who knows what's going on here? Maybe they'll keep Zach Ertz. I kind of hope they do, just
Hmm.
because like it's projected to fit Nick Sirianni's, you know, offensive style, running those 2 tight ends.
Right.
It's gonna be a nightmare if Ertz stays and Dallas Goddard is still there too. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Had the same astute analysis on the mechanical pencil on his visor. Had that in my notes for sure. Um,
Is it always a mechanical pencil?
it seems like it. Yours picture had included a highlighter also, but there was a mechanical
Right.
pencil there. Seems like it's always a
Okay, keep
mechanical
going.
pencil.
Keep going.
I
I'm gonna
guess he
look at
needs an
this.
eraser. Like I said, astute analysis. No, seriously, I like the hire for offensive reasons. As you discussed, I think he should help stabilize Jalen Hurts' career, but I'm not necessarily a believer in Hurts or the Philly roster at this point. So that has some worry. You kind of touched on the receivers and question marks there. Also, I think Sirianni could be riding the coattails of both Reich and the talent present in San Diego and Indy. But I'm gonna err on the side of I believe that he is a disciple. He is a good coach, at least offensively. But if there is good quarterback play, I really like Miles Sanders as a value. He did not have a great year, 150 some odd fantasy points, injured. So I think people kind of forget about his talent. So I see him as an Austin Eckler, Naheem Hines kind of guy. Get a lot of catches out of the backfield. Could be a PPR monster. Could get volume. It's important to mention Boston Scott because he is of the same vein. He fits in well and he's played well in spelling Sanders. So I think they'll use them both, but I still like Sanders to get the vast majority, to get the lead role. And again, he could be a kind of a Naheem Hines, Austin Eckler type of player.
I don't know if this is all. I think this is a pen, dude. I don't think this is a mechanical pencil.
Really? I could swear I saw an eraser.
I think that's the top of the. I think that's the clicky part of the pen. Yeah,
Oh.
pretty sure this is a
By
pen.
the way, folks
Sorry,
at
the
home,
entire
all
time
you
you've been
got.
talking, I have been analyzing the writing utensils hanging from his visor, trying to discern whether it's a pencil or a pen.
Now that's a pencil. I can't show you right now. Oh yeah, I can. Anyway,
Anyways,
yeah.
uh, I'm sorry
Literally,
for
all
that.
you have to do, folks, is Google Nick Sirianni and go to images, and it'll be pencils
Yeah,
everywhere. Pencils and
and
visors.
highlighters too. There's a couple of pictures of him with highlighters dangling there
Fair,
too. Anyways,
fair. Mm.
let's move on. Let's
Oh, if
move
you
on
real
to.
quick before we move on from him, if you want to chuckle, watch his first press conference.
Oh, really?
He does not come off well, dude. It's pretty funny.
Ooh.
Again, Cowboys fan, hates Philly. I get it, but it's a bad interview. It really is. Now, he's not like being mean. He just sounds dumb, and I don't think the guy's dumb. I just got finished praising his coaching tree, his how he came up through the ranks, but it's bad.
Sure. Okay. All right, let's move on to the last guy on our list, and that is the Texans' new head coach, David Culley. David Culley. I'm pretty sure that this guy popped into our dimension out of nowhere, and because I could find next to nothing on him. So I'm going to let you talk here, man. Other than him spending 2 years as a Ravens assistant head coach for under John Harbaugh and their passing coordinator and wide receiver coach, yeah, like 20 years ago, I think he popped into existence because he's been an assistant NFL head coach or some sort of NFL assistant coach for about 20 years. And before that, I think his Wikipedia page is made up.
It's bad. Well, he's 65 years old. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but he's obviously on the older side, especially on this list. He got his start in the NFL back when my Dallas Cowboys won their last Super Bowl in 1994. He got his start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's cut to the chase here. Everything depends on whether or not Watson stays. I'm sorry, I forgot one other note about his.
Let's not speculate about that. Let's just move forward with the fact that maybe Watson does stay.
It does say
'Cause I don't think they're getting rid of him.
He's a wide receivers coach. Roots, senior offensive assistant. I think you might have mentioned that. Yes, NFL assistant coach for the Ravens. His longest tenure was 99 to 2012 with Philly. So think of Philly wide receivers from 99 to 2012. Maybe you could help me with that.
T.O. T.O. is one of them.
That was the one that first came to
Jackson.
mind. There you go.
Oh, you can't forget Fred X, Freddie Mitchell.
There you go.
I cannot believe that guy. What an arrogant person that did absolutely nothing. Oh my, just Yeah. I have yeah, anyways, I can't continue this without using some sort of profanity. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, he's coached some really good wide receivers in Philly. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and the reason I kind of went to that tenure because I think most of us have a relatively negative opinion about his coaching job in with the receivers in Baltimore. Now, one might argue that, but I think subpar play from Lamar might have a little bit to do with that, at least in terms of
Mhm.
recent memory. Although I think Lamar closed the year pretty strong, but I also don't see a terribly talented receiving core in Baltimore. So, whatever you have to say about Hollywood, I think Hollywood's a good player. I just think Hollywood needs somebody else on the other side. I think Hollywood is
Yeah.
more of a role player, big plays, but role player. So that's kind of where I'm at. A little
Yeah.
hesitant in terms of, I mean, Watson's going to put up numbers, so there's that. But otherwise, fantasy pieces, you've got nobody at running
I
back.
I gotta say this fantasy aside, this head coaching hire is just perplexing.
Hmm. Hmm.
I know that this guy's name has been sort of floated around a little bit here and there, but it's like they put a bunch of a bunch of other candidates' names in a hat, and they just drew a name out of the hat, and it was David Culley.
Hmm.
I don't understand this. I don't understand the end around that did to Deshaun Watson of hiring their new GM, and then without and I don't know if the quarterback needs to have a say in the hiring of a coach or whatever, but if
Or
he
at least a
asked,
GM, yeah.
yeah, or at least a GM, but if he asked, like maybe you should have your quarterback sit down with the coaches and see how they interact with each other and everything because they have to get along,
Hmm.
like
I think the owner is
I
still
don't know,
Bob.
man.
Is the owner
Like
still Bob McNair? Like he needs to retire. No offense
I don't
to
know.
the gentleman, but sometimes
I don't know
just
to be quite
it
honest with you.
passes you by. He's just too old. Is he? Maybe he's got help. I don't know. But what was I gonna say here?
I don't have
With
much else to say about
with
David Culley because I
Watson,
think it's
if you're trying to keep him, yes, I agree with you. You need to not necessarily placate to his every whim, but I think you need to ask his opinion. Furthermore, even if you don't, I think going in a different direction would have been warranted here. Go with a younger guy. You've got a young quarterback. Uh, all the guys on this list, in fact, one of them, Sirianni, he wanted. Rumors has it, and you could see why.
he
Again, it's just
well,
a younger.
he wanted Watson also wanted he really wanted Robert Saleh by the Jets, so he's like, "Okay, what about, Eric Bieniemy?" And the Chiefs were making
Ooh,
a Super Bowl run, so they didn't really have
yep.
much of a chance to interview Bieniemy, I believe,
And
and
Bieniemy
then they
stayed,
just like
decided to stay again. Did Bieniemy?
I don't know
I
if
don't
he
know if we know that
decided
yet.
or
I don't think we know that yet.
I don't know, or if the Texans were just like, "No, we're gonna go with David Col" I don't know. This move
I just
perplexes me. We'll see how it works out. Maybe Deshaun Watson is wrong,
Mhm,
and this guy
mhm,
is gonna be great for him and really help his game. I just like I look at the entire Texans offense that's not Deshaun Watson, and it's just giant question marks all over the place,
mhm.
except for Brandon Cooks. That's the only guy, that's not Deshaun Watson that is definitely gonna be on the team this
And he
next
likes to
year,
coach fast guys,
but
Deshaun, and
barring some sort of trade that they trade away Brandon Cooks, that this is the only guy that they have under contract,
mhm,
It's
and I
Watson and
just said
Cooks.
there's nobody at running back. I mean, so we
Yeah,
love David
it
Johnson, but I mean,
he's not the David
no.
Johnson of old,
There's a good chance they could have an entirely new running back core next year.
yeah, and a new wide
Probably be
receiver core
yep,
too.
yep.
I think that they're gonna try and retain Will Fuller to keep Watson happy, but who knows?
I
I
agree.
don't know what this team is gonna do. It's giant question like I said, giant question marks all over the place. I don't wanna
And
keep repeating
and a
myself, but
historically bad defense, so less opportunity
yeah.
for that fantasy offense. Don't like it very much.
Yeah. Alright. That's all I gotta say about David Culley. Um, I'm gonna go eat some food or something. So until next time, like always, you can, like I said at the top of the show, you can always email us at amazingffb@gmail.com. You can say what's up, or you can ask for an invite to our Discord server, where there you can also say, hey, you can check out Chris as of right now on Fridays. He streams
Yep.
PC builds and he does some gaming or whatever. His thing is twitch.tv/hardware dynasty. It's a good time. I pop in constantly.
It
Until
is.
then, until next week, which we will be talking about offensive lines.
Offensive
Offensive lines.
lines.
It sounds uninteresting, but offensive lines are a key and keeping track of what happens to offensive lines in the offseason is very key to what happens in fantasy football. So that's why we decided to cover it. It sounds boring. I'm sure it won't be. Until then, everyone, stay safe, wear a mask, have a good day.
Adios.